Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I've hurt my neck.
You've hurt your neck?
Yeah.
So neck pain and back pain, I think, as an old person, also sometimes tooth pain, which I don't want to get into the details of because I think it speaks to hygiene. I think if you're getting tooth pain, is usually a hygiene thing. But sometimes you have root canals or whatever.
Yeah.
Things happen to your teeth.
Root canals. You're just having root canals. Yeah, if you need a root canal, you should go to the dentist.
I'm saying tooth pain is what was the point of this? Tooth pain
Back pain, neck
pain
pain.
and neck pain makes me want to kill myself. I don't see the point of being alive. It's too much of a hassle.
So for me right now, it's permeating through the left side of my body.
Ugh.
It's like neck to shoulder to tricep
Yeah.
to my fingers.
So that is like a nerve thing then. It's not just neck pain. You have a like bunch of nerves most likely. So I used to have, I mean, not to, you know, one up you here, but I used to have like back pain, like neck pain, that
Mhm.
would lead to my left side, and I would like my fingers would start to tingle and all this shit, right? So I
Yeah.
went to a chiropractor, and we worked on loosening up my neck, because there was a bunch of nerves that were just kind of bundled together, and I had to loosen it up so the blood flow was better.
Now I have a question for you. Was that at
Uh-huh.
Stretch Lab?
It was not a stretch lab. This was beforehand. This was before I went, and ever since I've been to stretch lab, the problem has not persisted. So
Have you ever seen those videos of people getting their backs cracked at a chiropractor's office?
yeah, I have, by the way. Like those come up obviously on the YouTube Shorts, right? And it's fine. Obviously, every single time it looks like a great time. Every time I hear like the pops, it looks great. There's
Never looks
sometimes
good.
the funny video where somebody farts or whatever. Randomly, one of like the Beverly Hills doctors, the
Uh-huh.
chiropractors,
Uh-huh.
um, like the people that were featured on that video were
Uh-huh.
like adult stars. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I'm sorry that that I recognize them or whatever. But I was like, hey, you know what? This has my attention.
They're really putting in their body. So I
Mhm.
feel like they need to get
Exactly.
stretched. Those chiropractor videos always crack me up because they're always like, okay, and now breathe in. And then they do it, and I'm like, I think that person's dead.
It sounds a lot like you killed them right
Hey,
now.
it sounds like a gunshot. Okay. Anyway, it's fine. I'll survive, I guess. It is what it is.
Have you ever had that done to you though? Like have you ever had
No.
a stretch like that where it goes and it is kind of awesome?
I do want to get stretched, that's for sure. I don't want to get popped.
Yeah, so that's what I would recommend.
Popped.
Get pop pop.
I'm not trying to get pop up. I just want to get stretched because I love yoga.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy Pilates. I enjoy a nice stretch. That's my favorite type of like physical fitness. Is like where I'm like a cat. Like a cat just like stretching. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. When you sleep, you're a stomach sleeper, correct?
Yeah, I'm a terrible stomach
No, it's
sleeper.
fine. No, I'm not judging you. I'm also a stomach sleeper. Do you put your foot into legs into the position of 4, the number 4?
No, they're really wide open. They're like too big. It's a what is this? Upside down V?
Uh-huh.
Or a teepee.
Uh-huh.
But they're completely stretched out. I don't think it goes into a 4. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
that's a good thing.
Interesting. Okay. Because
Is
I
that something I
saw
should be doing?
no. I saw a TikTok that said that if you like to, so it's very scientific. If you like to sleep on your stomach and put your legs into a 4, and if you like to sit with your feet up, if
You
you like
might
to,
be a redneck.
so stupid. If you like to do all
Awkward.
those things, then your hips are unaligned, and that will cause a lot of problems. And you will have one side of your body will be much weaker. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing that for my entire 40 years of life. And I think it's starting to happen.
So I'll give you some good news. And this is just specific to you and to our family, right?
Okay.
We are very stretchy.
I know
I
we
don't know
are.
if you
Yeah,
know
we
that.
are.
We're
Mhm.
like, so my
I don't mean
stretch
to brag,
artist.
but I do have 2 children.
Ew, it's disgusting. I don't want to take part in this conversation anymore.
You're the one that opened it up to that, talking about our family's flexibility, okay?
two kids talk about opening it up. Anyways, my stretch person, her name is
Mhm.
Laura. She's lovely. I'm seeing her tomorrow.
Mhm.
She said I am the most flexible male client that she has.
No, I believe
And
that.
the only person that is more flexible than me is an Olympic trampoline artist that she sees out.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's
I know.
amazing. Now, I don't know what how wide the breadth of Laura's clients are. Maybe it's just you and that one guy.
First of all, it's a lady.
Okay, that's
I am. There's no. Listen. The first thing you should know: there's no other guy. There's no guy who is more flexible than me. She has made a point to point that out every single time.
no, I'm
But
aware of
but
that.
also how it relates to us is our mother has been getting more into exercise and more into
Mhm.
yoga and stuff like this. It's kind of remarkable how stretchy she is for a
She
70
is.
year old, and like how, like, with everything else, she's,
Yeah.
it's
With the
not like
bum
she's a
knees and
workout
everything. I
a
know.
bum knee, all of that stuff, the DC dietary practices, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Extremely stretchy. So you once you go to like a stretch lab, or if you whenever you go to get stretched, you should fare really, really well.
I know. I remember right after having Aiden, I did you remember P90X?
Mm-hmm.
So P90X had like a power yoga video, and I did
Oh
that with
yeah.
my husband and his cousin, who is like really
Yeah,
physically
that
fit, one
guy's.
of the hottest
Uh-huh.
people we've ever seen.
I mean, he's your cousin-in-law.
No,
We'll
I mean
keep
I
it in
can
our
still say
pants.
my husband would agree. He is. He's got a ridiculous body. He's very very fit. Like
He is very fit.
he's insanely fit. So I
One
remember.
time, one time I was walking behind him, like I was walking up the steps, and I kind of stumbled, and like
uh,
my hand hit his back,
ah!
like, to his butt, and I was like, "That is the most fit butt I've ever touched." I was like, "How do you have muscles back there?"
Yeah, he's really fit. But I
Really
did
fit.
yoga with him, and I was right after. I think maybe I was like, it was like the first exercise I was able to do after like having a kid. So 2 months, maybe less than 2 months after having a baby.
Hmm.
And they were freaking out because they were looking at me and they were like, "How are you able to do that?" And I was like, this is very easy for me. So I do think that our family is very flexible.
Yeah, I
Shout
think
out
it's
to us.
either. Are we flexible, or are we just we're not solid? I think
We're,
that's what it is. We're
we're like
we're
amoebas.
we're wishy washy. As
You know what? We're spineless, is what it is.
There's no, of course, our bones don't hurt. There's no bone density in here.
There's none. We're just cartilage. We're
Hollow.
like babies.
Hollow.
Yeah, our bones never formed, actually. Have you ever broken a bone? Not me.
I've never broken a bone. I've
Mm-mm.
torn an ACL and an MCL. It's not the bone.
No, I've never
No.
gotten any of that checked. I'm sure I've ripped a whole bunch of stuff inside of my body. Nobody's checked.
Ugh.
Anyway, listen, I did want to start off today's episode on a hee hee ha ha because there's a lot of stuff going on, and I want to just take a moment to be respectful and talk about something that really fucked me up this week that I think that we should be using our space for to, raise some attention to. I'm sure everybody's heard it, but there are these crazy floods in
Hmm.
Texas,
Yeah.
and the saddest, this devastating story coming out of it is that there was this sleepaway camp called Camp Mystic. It's like
Hmm.
a sleepaway camp. And I'm going to talk about the types of families that are going there because I do think it's important because I'm sure everybody who listens to this podcast understands, but it's just like notes for you guys to take with you when you talk to your conservative relatives or whatever about what the fuck is going on. The families that were sending their kids to this camp were like affluent families. Like we're talking about like, the great grandchildren of like oil barons in
Really? I didn't
Texas.
know that.
Yes. And so this is a very expensive camp that these kids were, this all girls Christian camp. There's like Texas politicians who were sending their kids, grandkids there. And I think 27 people, children and camp counselors, have so far died. Over 100 people have already died between 6 counties in that area. And there's tons more missing, a lot of people missing. And it's unbelievably tragic because people like underestimate the power of water, like how quickly these things can happen. This happened over a 45-minute period. People went to sleep, and when they woke up, there was a flood. And so it's extremely devastating. There's still a lot of relief work being done, but I'm going to put in the notes for today's podcast, I'm going to put in a link to CF Texas Hill Country, which is like a local donation site that is collecting for that area. It's called Texas Hill Country Relief Fund. And so it's the least we can do, because it's unbelievably sad. And what's really devastating is that with the big beautiful bill passing, this type of shit is gonna get worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the things that bill did to like green energy subsidies, to like climate change stuff. It's also going to create issues for people who right now currently in that flood could be losing their homes, they could be losing their jobs, they could be losing everything. And those people would have most likely relied on things like federal programs, healthcare, SNAP benefits, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that stuff isn't going to be available, because I think they estimated like over 12 million people are going to lose access to healthcare and access to benefits because of this bill. And so I, it's crazy, because again, going back to the types of families that were sending their kids to this camp, right? Like, I think that a lot of times in this country, we think that we're so removed from what's going on. And like you and I, as immigrants, and especially where we live, and how the fact that where we were born and where our family comes from, the fact that our parents are migrants, our dad's a migrant 3 times, 4 times over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that we have a different understanding of these things and how quickly your luck or your circumstances can change. But I think it's important for people in America to understand that, like, it it shouldn't take something happening to you directly for it to affect you, for it to cause some sort of change to happen. But unfortunately, that is also how human beings function. It's very much the American experience too. So it's just, you have to keep calling your senators. You have to keep making sure that if you can primary somebody locally, you do it. You get some better representatives for you, because it's been a couple of days of really sad shit. And then, so
Way to pick me up.
sorry.
No. You're right. So I didn't know that the families that send their kids to this camp are affluent families. Not that that matters one way or
Yeah.
another, right? I think what it does do is it kind of shapes my perspective around like the actions that were or weren't taken.
Mhm.
In this situation, right? So there's obviously, since it happened, there's a lot of conversation about, hey, there were Doge cuts that happened,
Mhm.
right? And like in reality, like those Doge cuts, where we are, like I was watching this news clip from, I think, a meteorologist in Florida, who was like, it's the beginning of hurricane season, and every year at this time I stand in front of you and I tell you kind of what to expect, right?
Yeah.
This year I can't do that because the models that we use and the budget that we use for this stuff is has been cut. He's like, we
Yeah.
just don't have access to those things, right? So
Yeah.
in terms of us actually taking a step back, in terms of science and our ability to predict things like this happening, we are actually worse off today than we were 8 months ago, because
Yeah.
a lot of these services have been cut. Having said that, in this situation, if you look at what happened, and is actually kind of ghoulish of the motherfuckers in Texas, like the leadership in Texas, how quickly they started pointing this shit out. Like if you listen to like the lieutenant governor and all that stuff, they're
Uh,
like, "Oh no, we did the job. The job did happen. The alerts went out. I want to make sure that everybody knows that the alerts went out. We did our job, right?" Like it was like right on the heels of thoughts and prayers, they
yeah.
started to just, yeah, hey, this isn't our fault, right? Ted Cruz,
Yeah.
of course, was in Europe
He's in
vacationing with his family.
Greece.
Yeah, I mean that's where you want to be. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't want to be here during hurricane season. That's insane. It's
No,
flood
why
season.
would
Are
you
you
be
crazy?
there? What are you crazy?
It's fucking flood season. You'd have to give me a moron. Um, but so they were very quick to point that out. Hey, it's not the cuts that made it happen. It went out to the camps and stuff like that, right? At the same time, it is disingenuous because, again, you want to be careful. Like people died here. That's the most important thing. That is the saddest thing in
Yeah.
all this. Like young children died here because
Mhm.
of negligence of some sort, right? But it's also because we, like the GOP has done a very active job in discounting science
Yeah.
for the people, right? So like if I am a Christian based sleepaway camp and I am told that, hey, there's a fucking flood coming, why don't I take action there? Like it's because for years and years you have told people, a lot of your constituents, that climate change is not real. You've
Mhm.
politicized that whole situation, right? You said, "Hey, don't worry about this. This is just the world doing the thing that it does," or
Yeah.
it's just natural. So there is like the urgency isn't there, right? Does that mean that you point the finger at these people for that so that they're responsible for these sets? You can't say that directly, right? But I think it leads into that conversation about the big beautiful bill and everything else, like everything that's happening with ICE and all those things, right? It's like, okay, at what point do you kind of have to see the evidence in front of you before you recognize that, okay, this person that keeps telling me, or this party that keeps telling me that it has my best interest at hand, when they have the opportunity to actually do shit for me, they go in the absolute opposite direction,
Yeah.
right? So, like, if you think about all the stuff that's been happening with ICE, they want basically what the GOP wants is they want to like squeeze out empathy
Yeah.
for foreigners from
Yep.
anywhere, right? Like, you can't, like, have you seen like pictures of the alligator Alcatraz thing?
Yep.
You can't be a rational human being and put out pictures of alligator ice and say, hey, I think that this is an appropriate place for children in the fucking Georgia sun, in the sweltering Georgia
In the
sun, to be in
States.
fucking in oh yeah, in the summer, right? That this is an appropriate place for children, right? And they don't just think that it's appropriate, but fucking Christine Nome is there, and they're like celebrating the fact, like
Yeah.
they're like mocking the fact that all of this stuff is happening, right? And it is because ultimately they want the regular people to feel like this is what these illegal immigrants deserve.
Yeah.
They
That's
made the they've done this crime of coming into this country, and they're taking our resources, and hey, this is the punishment that they deserve, right? And we should all laugh about it. At the same time, it's interesting that it's happening at the same time as a big beautiful bill, right? Because when they tell you that it's the illegal immigrants that are taking our resources, in this situation, they took resources, they took healthcare away from 16 million US citizens
yep.
and gave it to the corporations.
Yep.
A- And that's important only because of like how flagrant it is
Yeah.
and how indefensible it is. And then you just go, man, how long before like people actually realize that they don't give a shit about you,
Yeah.
right?
Remember they campaigned about like no more taxes on tips.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite.
So no more taxes on tips, and then they like broke down the math of it. I saw an economist breaking down the math, and they were like, actually, it's not that you don't pay taxes on your tips, it's that at the end of the year when you file your taxes, you can put in for you can use that as like a deductible, like you could deduct them from your income, so you don't have to pay taxes on it at the end of the year. But there's a cap on it where it's actually at the end going to be somewhere like only $4,000 of whatever you made that year gets to be like a deductible. So it's
So
not actually that you're not paying taxes on it. You are still paying taxes on it. It's just like and one of the things like I want people to realize before I go to the big beautiful bill, also this other thing about like Christy Nome, this fucking ghoul, this monster,
a
her,
dog
Laura
killer.
Loomer. Yeah, Ann Coulter. Laura Loomer said there's 65 million people. The alligators are going to get 65 million meals. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean 65 million immigrants. That means 65 Latinos in America, because it's not actually ever been about immigrants. It's just anti-black and brown people. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Um, but at this camp, there were two camp counselors that actually saved children. They saved like 30 kids. It was 19-year-olds, Silvana Garza Valdez and Maria Paula Zarate. Could you guess by their names what their background is? They're
I would say
Mexican.
they're yeah.
They're actually Mexican. They're from Mexico.
Yeah.
And they saved these kids, right? And so you have this happening. I mean, what's like, if you believe in God or whatever, like the universe, you look at the videos of alligator Alcatraz over the Everglades, where it actually recently flooded.
Mhm.
It flooded last week. And then it's also happening at the same time as this, Christian kids camp, where you have GOP members' children and grandchildren attending. And you
Mhm.
would think that like that would spark something in their brains, right? To like say, "Hey, that feels to me like a sign from God if that is what I believe," right? Like we believe in a book that talks about, was it locusts, right? And then you got
Mhm.
the floods, a lot of big big time God stuff. And you would think that they would like something would click in their brain, but it doesn't. But to go back to the big beautiful bill, the other thing people need to realize is like, yeah, they keep calling it that. It's actually one of the largest pieces of legislation that they've tried to pass, and they purposely made it that big. They
Mhm.
purposely made it thousands of pages big because they wanted the people who are going to vote on it to have very little time to actually go through it and make any changes to it. So they were trying to pass it right before July 4th at such a time that they were like, you're not going to have enough time, just pass it, whatever. And the reason why they did it is because they have shit like this, where it's like, oh, no tax on tips, except actually it is tax on tips. And actually, if you make $2,000 in tips that year, we're not going to tax that $2,000. But if the rest of the money that you do make on tips, we are going to be taxing it. So, and
Yeah.
also livable wage. Mm-mm.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of her. Not interested. So, also, did you see what ICE did in fucking California this week?
No, not yet. I'm
So
sure.
there's
I'm sure it came across my whatever.
and you were just
I
like,
didn't register. Eh.
MacArthur Park is like a park in Los Angeles where there was a kids camp happening, like regular
Mhm.
day camp,
Okay.
and ICE and the National Guard, they were deployed like troops and tanks into the park
Mhm.
where kids were playing to try to do a raid.
That's where our resources are going.
That's where the resources are going, right? Like, and I think MacArthur Park was one of the areas that was like I think they were affected also by the fires. So the National Guard that has been there since the fires to protect the people there are now being used by the government to terrorize the people there. It's
Mhm.
I don't understand. You cannot look at this and say, you know what, this is for our betterment. There's no way that you can do that at this point anymore. I there's nothing left. There's nothing left.
I think the thing about the big beautiful bill, and also I guess kind of how like the ICE stuff that's going on, right? I guess going back to like they want to squeeze the empathy out of you type of
Yeah.
thing, right? They just, and that's something that you told me about, like what was it, what was it,
No, there it's the sin
the
of
sin
empathy.
of the sin of empathy, right? And that's
Mhm.
like the thing that they want you to believe. Now if you think about like, okay, uh, we like to think of ourselves as good people, right, in theory, and we want to say, okay, well,
Just barely.
it's just barely, right? We are spineless at the end of the day, but at the very least we like to think, okay, we are against this ice bullshit because it is it's inhumane. It is actually inhumane. This is not how you treat people, right?
Yeah.
So you and I, we are upset about it. We voice our concerns about it. If the time ever comes to vote for it or against it, we would vote against it, right? It is something that we care about
Yeah.
enough that that we would do. But you and I aren't going out there, and we're not standing in front of ICE detention centers and all those things because we have our day-to-day lives,
Well,
right?
we
We
also
have
said at top of the episode, spineless.
spineless also, but plus it's hot and all those things. But really what it comes down to is like, okay, so there is, obviously we care about people, but there is a line where, okay, beyond this, like, but if in case if it was something where local mosques were being raided and stuff like that, it would
Yeah.
affect us more directly, so we would be more inclined to be on site and do things like that, right? The important thing about the big beautiful bill, or kind of like what's so striking about it, and if you hear like the lawmakers, like the Democrat, like AOC was talking about it, and she wasn't even like pointing the finger at the GOP and stuff. She was just talking about how fucking sad a day it is, right? Basically what the big beautiful bill is it's the GOP saying we're running this country like a corporation, right?
Yeah.
And just like a corporation, at some point you just have layoffs, right? You just
Yeah.
say, hey, beyond this line, we actually kind of don't need you to make this shit work. You are dispensable.
Yeah.
For 17 million people, that lost Medicaid as part of the big beautiful bill, the GOP is basically saying, hey, you're gonna fucking die. We are sentencing you to death. And I know that that sounds harsh, right? But
Yeah.
we're a family that has benefited, because we have somebody who needs,
Yeah.
24/7 care, right? I
Mhm.
can't begin to tell you how helpful these services have been for
Yep.
us, for as a family, right? Like, our father is alive because of that. Like, that's
Yep.
basically what it comes down to. It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of work to get enrolled into those programs, and I completely understand like why it takes so much time, but the people that we have come across, the ones that have helped us, are incredible people, right? But
Yeah.
obviously this stuff comes at a cost. The big beautiful bill is saying to those people, hey, we can make this shit work without you. Like, we are
Yeah.
okay with you dying,
Yeah, well,
right?
that's the thing. You're not there. They don't consider people who are sick or
Hmm.
disabled or in need of anything
Yeah.
um, valuable labor. And that's what it really comes down to, right? It's like it comes down to, at its core, we took away slavery hundreds of
Yeah.
years ago, and now we're mad and we're going to find other ways to make it happen for us. We're going to make people have babies when they can't afford it. We're going to make those babies die, or we're going to make those people really poor where they have to constantly be in debt. And once
Mhm.
they're in debt, they're constantly going to be working. And once they're working, they're under our control. And that's
And
it. It's insane, but that's literally what it is. Like,
yeah.
and you cannot argue with me about like economics and taxes or whatever. I've said this a million times before. My taxes being used to feed somebody is not a problem for me. My
Mm.
taxes being used to bomb somebody is a problem for me. But that also is not changing. In fact, it's probably increasing. Netanyahu did nominate Trump in writing for the Nobel Peace Prize. So
You know who's the only other country that nominated him for a Peace Prize? That's
Pakistan.
right, baby. Our people. We're the best.
No, truly, like, you want to talk about ghouls? Wait,
Just
speaking of Pakistanis, can I just mention something real quick?
oh.
I mentioned this on the Instagram, and people were like, "Wait, what's going on?" So we talked about eating with your hand, right?
Hmm.
Big fan. And Kumail Nanjiani posted about this biryani spot in California that he really likes. It's like his favorite biryani spot, and he posted a video about it. And he was like, it's a legit place because like there's no flair. There's no like bells and whistles. There's no ambiance. You go there, you get a plate of like dum biryani, and then he sat down and he was talking to the guy in Urdu and he ate it with his hands. He was like, "I'm gonna eat this biryani with my hand." And then he sat down and he was like, "Aap bhi thoda khaiye," like to the guy who was there, like, "Please have some, whatever." And
Hmm.
he was talking in Urdu, and I was like, I hate him, but
That's all it takes.
he ate with his hand and he spoke perfect Urdu, and I was like, you know what, Kumail? Maybe you're forgiven a little bit.
Again, no spine. First of all, we got upset at Kumail for really no reason. He
No, I
put
had a
I got
real no, I had a
no,
real
no,
reason
no.
for him.
I know. It's because of his stupid movie. I
Yeah,
know, I know.
no, the big
But
sick is
then
very problematic
uh,
when it comes to brown women.
Big Sick
Okay.
is very problematic, yes. And then I think we all got a little bit annoyed with him and his whole body thing. It's like, oh, what
Yeah.
are you, like, an action guy? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
what's the
He
end goal here? Are we going
tried to go on Twitter and talk about making biryani with cauliflower rice, and we were like,
yeah.
Kumail, stop it. So now
Pick
to
a
see him,
lane?
yeah, now to see him eating real biryani with his hand, I was like, damn it.
Um, I don't know if I have anything to add here. I will just say that, this entire eating rice with your hands discussion, right? Even like Zoran's video last week, I think there's an unsaid part of it that you and I, maybe we are being a little bit deceptive in this conversation.
What's that?
Um, and that is, we will defend eating rice with your hands all day long, right?
Yeah.
But the licking of your fingers
Oh,
in the middle of eating rice with your hands, I think that's a whole other subject that I'm okay with. I don't know if you're okay with the licking of the fingers.
no, I'm not okay with that.
Exactly.
No, I'm not okay with that.
I think that's something that we need to talk. I think that's something that we
Did
need
Zoran
to.
lick his fingers in the video?
He didn't. And
Oh.
if he did, I think that's the end of his fucking campaign. I
we
there's
would we would release him so hard. We'd be like, you know what?
well, well, we wouldn't. You would.
I
I'd be
would.
like, I kind of see it. You were like, hey, listen, there's some things even I cannot defend. But let me tell you something. If you're eating rice with your hands,
No.
The best part is the licking of the fingers.
No.
You're just gonna wash it off,
No.
all of that.
No, I don't get enough rice on my hands to then lick it. I will
Uh,
say this. I'm a very neat hand eater. So I'm not
I'm going
getting
knuckle.
it. I'm not getting it into the
I'm going
crevices
knuckles
of
deep.
my fingers.
It's going in the crevices.
No.
Going
Yeah,
all
we
the
do
way in.
need to. Well, speaking of Zohran, we do have to talk about him. There's two things that came up. One is about Columbus, and the other one is about Colombia. Okay. Now you heard about his
Okay.
application from 17 years ago.
I have seen little bits and pieces. African American, is that the issue?
That's right. He selected Asian and African American on his it said African American / black. And he
Mm-hmm.
did select both of those on his application.
Mm-hmm.
And look, as a non-black person,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, "Oh, I think that that's fine." I can't make a judgment on that. No,
No.
that's crazy. Yeah, he was born in Uganda. I don't believe, I don't know. Okay, I can't, I don't know. Now, here's the thing. An opportunity was laid out for him and he did use that opportunity to his
Yeah.
advantage. Okay. And if a black person is going to be like, yeah, that's fucked up, Zohran, I'm going to be
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, that's probably, but me, Asian Pacific Islander, all day and night. That's what I've
That's
been this whole time.
exactly. That's all I've ever been. Again, I agree with you that as a non-black person, as a non-African American, we really can't justify this. We really can't. You can say, well, yeah, geographically speaking, I used to work with a lot of Egyptians. That used to be a thing always
Yeah,
because
yeah. Like,
Egyptians
where did the
technically,
Egyptians fall?
yeah, it's like African American. So like some of the applications that I saw started listing out like African American / non-Arab. Like they did
Yeah.
not want like any of the so yes, we cannot make a judgment call on this and say that it is absolutely right, that it is justified for him to do it. I will just say to African American listeners that as a brown person, we all just want to be black. So that's also a thing that happens. We
Have
just
you ever been to Queens?
have you
Okay.
ever been to Have you ever been to suburbia, New Jersey, man? Every mosque that you go into.
Have you been to Parsippany, New Jersey?
Have you been to America? Have you met a American?
Have you met one single Desi person
Yeah.
who was born in the 80s?
Yes.
Came to America in the 90s? Buddy.
Maybe watch sports growing up. Maybe listen to some rap. Maybe things that
Oh,
they have
that's all
that
they want to be is black.
maybe they don't. Maybe they sing along during some of those rap songs and
Yeah,
don't
it's a
hold
big
back.
problem. It's a
Big
big problem. Now, I saw a tweet that said, so they posted it about this. Fox News host roasts Zohran Mamdani for identifying as African American in his Columbia University application as a high school senior in 2009. And then somebody wrote, Andrew Cuomo demanded the gynecological records of 13 women who accused him of sexual harassment. And Eric Adams required the actual president of the United States, who is also a convicted felon, to drop charges against him to stay out of jail. No one gives a hoot what boxes he checked 15 years ago. They said he never had to check the box for, are you a corrupt creep? Which is true. Again, I don't care, but if a person does care about that, I'm okay with that. Like this is not something that I, can say anything about. The new thing about him also is now there's a tweet of his that came up of him giving the middle finger to the Christopher Columbus statue, and it said, take it down. And so it's like, I saw a New York Post headline said, Mamdani stokes Italian American outrage after resurfaced tweet shows socialists giving the finger to Christopher Columbus statue. Quote, take it down. Christopher Columbus? You think that anybody cares about that still? Like, look, if you're an Italian who cares about Christopher Columbus, you are never going to vote for Mamdani.
Yes, I agree with you. Logically speaking, I do agree with you. Having said that, you and I are Italian Americans from New Jersey because we watch The Sopranos. Now,
Well,
I
we're from
don't know.
North Jersey, so we are Italian Americans. What are you
We
talking
are
about?
Italian American. Yeah, exactly. We have watched The Sopranos. There's a very famous Sopranos episode about Christopher Columbus Day.
Yes.
I do agree. Fuck Christopher Columbus. He's an asshole. But if we're going you
He's
know,
more than an asshole. He's a rapist and a pillager.
he's a rapist. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. A war criminal.
Yes.
That's not again. If you're pro Columbus, you are already anti Mamdani. Okay,
Yeah.
you're already mad about what they're doing to the nice Cuomo boys. Okay,
You don't think there's a guy that says like, "Oh, you know what? I am for $30 wages and free healthcare for new mothers," but Christopher Columbus Day is very important to me. You don't think that's a person that exists?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Cuomo did say once in a defense of his behavior, "I'm not a creep. I'm just Italian." So I don't know. Italians, write us in. Let us know what you think. Now, speaking of creeps, Raheel, have you heard of Jeffrey Epstein? And do you know that
I
there were
have
files of
exonerated
his?
Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing to see here,
Oh
Jeffrey
my god.
Epstein.
Okay, I have to say again, unfortunate that this motherfucker controls all of our lives. But literally today, Trump was asked about. He said, "Why are you guys still on the Epstein thing? Give it a rest." He literally said, he was like, "What? That guy was a creep. Why are we still talking about him?"
You don't even. I don't even get me started into what a big the kind of things I saw him do with my own eyes while I was doing them with him. Shock you.
So this week, the GOP said, they said nothing to see here. Basically,
No.
they said, long story short, list what list, huh?
Huh?
Who?
What?
Uh, um, yeah, that's basically what they said. They said, you won't believe it. We went through all of the paperwork. Pam Bondi, she said,
Yes.
guys, you will not believe it. You know, we've been talking about this for years. We've been talking about all the Democrats are on it. Pizzagate, Epstein, sex trafficking, rah! And we went through it all, and actually, there's nothing to see here.
You will not believe it. But like we went through it all. We have one person that died who
Hmm.
totally killed himself by, and just forget everything that we said over the last 5 years to get ourselves elected and in this position. And sure, there's a lady that's in jail right now for sex
Who?
crimes. But
I've never heard of her. I don't know what you're talking about. She messed up on her taxes. Actually, that's why she's in prison.
Exactly.
It's audacious.
It's so that's like the thing about like Trump and his cronies and all that stuff, right? It's like, and I guess, and kind of how it ties into like even like that, like the tip thing for the wage for the like on the wages, right? It's like, okay, they are so blatant and they're so shameless in the way that they talk to their own people, like the people that have supported them throughout this entire thing, right? Like if you think about, again, not to kind of I guess cast aspersions or whatever, but like
Yeah.
if I think about somebody who is making 25,000 in tips, right, a lower income person, especially in certain areas in the South and stuff like that, right? That person tends to be more conservative. That
Yeah.
person tends to be more like, especially in like the age of Trump in the last 10 years, there
Yeah.
have been a lot of people that say, well, you know what, this is actually somebody that is speaking on my behalf. Because
Yeah.
the one thing that you'll say about Trump is, or the one thing that you could say about Trump right at the beginning, and what drew a lot of people to him was the fact that he was upfront and honest about like what pieces of shit politicians were,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
Sure.
shit that he did in 2016 was audacious, and at the time we were like, hey, this is actually vile and disgusting that you were able to do these things. But like if you think about like during the debate with Hillary Clinton, he had the women who accused Bill Clinton of
In the
assault
audience. Yeah.
in the audience, right? And you go, what the in the moment you're like, what the fuck is this, right? But at the same time you go, hey, you know what, Bill
That did
Clinton
happen.
is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's something that, okay, you know what? At least he's giving it to me straight, right? So, when it comes to like him being this shameless and them being this shameless about the way that they are treating their own people, like to a waiter that makes less than 25,000 or makes 25,000, they're saying that, hey, the cost of us giving literally billions of dollars and
Yeah.
trillions of dollars to corporations is that you get $4,000 in savings, right? That's
Yeah.
all you get. That
Yeah.
is what all of your hard work is worth is you get $4,000. Thanks for the vote. By the way, these billionaires are going to get more and more money,
Yeah.
right? Similarly, in this situation, right? It's just like, okay, Trump is just, it's just so, you know, it's so shameless that you just go, I don't know, man. It's almost like at some point, like, if you are the person who is on the receiving end of all that shamelessness, when do you decide, hey, this is enough for me? When do you decide, like,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's just fucking lying to me? So I don't know. I don't know what that moment is for people, but I don't know.
Well, it's okay because the right wing media has got other things to be upset about. They're mad at Sean Gunn, the creator of the new Superman movie. Or no, not Sean Gunn. Sean
James,
Gunn's from Gilmore Girls. James Gunn.
who is
James
Sean Gunn's brother, by the way? Did you know
I
that?
know that I do know. Of course I know that. Don't be ridiculous. They're mad because James Gunn said that he said that the story of the new Superman movie is actually, it's a superhero movie, is actually the story of America. It's about an immigrant that comes from, you know, another place, and how
Mhm.
basic human kindness is a value and something that we've lost, and we want to like recenter that, right? Um well, right-wing media is really upset. Kellyanne Conway,
Oh,
we haven't heard from that Jersey
is that a
girl in a
lot?
minute. She said, I don't go to movies to be lectured. Okay. I don't want to have somebody throw their ideology on us. And I just think it's so funny when they do that. When they're like, when somebody's like, hey, I would love for this movie to just be about like kindness and just like being good to people and like being
Uh,
nice to immigrants. And the Republicans are like, how dare you? How dare you try to get me to care about people? Okay. I go to the movies to watch trolls sing and dance.
yeah,
Okay.
like I don't know what they want out of this Superman. Like it's like, okay, what is a good Superman to you? If you don't want a Superman that, like, it's literally truth, justice, and the American way, right? Like that is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tagline, right? And part of the American way, I'm sorry to tell you, is giving a shit about other people. Because without that, Superman is the most powerful being on the planet.
Yeah.
If he didn't have that whole empathetic thing, he would be a dictator and a tyrant. Is that what you want? He would be an alien that takes over the world.
Well, they want Superman to be more like a police officer or a firefighter. Like they want him to be like saving people off the top of buildings, burning buildings, but they don't necessarily want him to like, you know, prevent like a mass shooting from happening.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, obviously not anything that involves guns, AR-15s, anything that has, easily rechargeable bullets or anything like that because hey,
No.
we don't want that, but I don't
No.
know, maybe Superman can break up one of those like trans story time thingies, like where like drag people teach or read stories to kids or whatever.
Well,
I
I
think
think
maybe that's the thing that they want
I
Superman
think
to
where
get involved
Superman would
in.
be really helpful is in women's sports, because then he would be able to do an X-ray and make sure that only the real biological women are competing in women's sports.
That is an incredible idea. I love that idea. Yes, Superman, you just go through the scan. Superman looks at your pubes,
Yeah.
and then he lets you
Yeah.
through, or he
So,
stops you.
we're not having everybody licking your pants. Just
No,
Superman.
it's just the Man of Steel.
Just the Man of Steel.
Only
Okay.
one man. I know you're worried about men in the locker room. There's only one man now who gets to look at your privates. It is Kal-El.
And guess what, by the way? He's not even a man. He's an alien.
He's not even a man. But if you were worried about that, at least it's a white man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. And he's so handsome.
He's so handsome.
Wait, can we talk about the new Superman movie? We are going to go see it together on Saturday. I'm
We
very
are.
excited.
Yeah.
Can we talk about his underwear?
Yeah, go ahead. Talk to me because I've been watching a lot of videos and his underwear has come up in the videos that I've
Okay, wait,
that
real quick. This is a question, a real life question my husband said to me. He said, gun to your head. David Cornsmith?
Corn sweat. Corn sweat.
Rough last name. You should have changed it. David Cornsweat or Henry Cavill?
Mm-hmm.
Who you
What was
got?
your answer? What
Oh,
was your answer?
I said shaved as Superman. I'm going Henry.
Not shaved all over or just shaved in the face?
I'm not not looking all over, okay?
It was an important detail in the movie because there is a scene in the beginning, like the Man of Steel, where
Mhm.
he's wearing a suit, but they very intentionally had his chest hair
Give him a
kind of
little
coming
poof.
out. Yeah, a little puff coming out of it.
No, face-wise, I'm
Uh-huh.
saying, without a beard, I'm going Henry, but with a beard, I'm really into David. You know why else I like David? He has his real teeth still. Because a
Mhm.
lot of young actors in Hollywood now are just like coming in with veneers. I don't like
Yeah.
it. I like a real smile, a real face. And my husband may have watched approximately 36 hours of interview footage of this man, and he
I
seems
know
real.
what he's excited about, and
He's
I
real
know
sweet.
exactly why. You know why he's sweet.
Why? Because he's a big Eagles fan. He's from
Huge
Philly.
Eagles fan.
Huge Eagles
Still
fan.
lives in Philly, right?
I was with him when we Googled that together. Now going back to Superman's outfit. His underwear is like shorts, and I don't think I like that.
Mhm.
I liked it when
So
it looked like tidy whities, but red.
now, Tidy Whitey's but it was red has only really been Christopher Reeve and I guess the Lois and Clark,
I mean,
right?
my first Superman.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve, and that was
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
like the classic look or whatever,
The
and they got
bikinis.
rid of it. Yeah, and they got rid of it for like the Man of Steel stuff because they were like, this looks ridiculous or whatever. Um, I just to answer your first question, even though I don't know if you asked
Yeah,
me.
I do. I do want to. I care. What?
Henry Cavill
Yeah.
is one of the best looking men maybe of all time. Like
Yeah.
I think
Sure. Sure. Sure.
in that outfit, even like in a suit, like I
Oh,
watched a spy movie
rawr.
with
Yeah.
him and our guy Armand Hammer.
Yeah. That's a
Uh,
great movie, by the way.
that's okay. I love that movie, and he
Yeah.
looks so good in a suit. Anyways,
Yeah.
he looks great, right? His Superman, and it's not maybe not his fault. It's maybe more of a Zack Snyder fault.
Yeah.
Is he was too morose, man. He was too emo. He was
Yeah.
too sad, and all those things. Right? I will take the image of him, and I will take him maybe on top of me. Sure, I'll take that. But overall, like sticking with the movie, like during the movies, I never really felt that Superman connection to him. Right?
Hmm.
Everything that I've seen of David Sweat, and I did watch that Hollywood show. Did you ever watch that Hollywood show? It was on Netflix.
Uh huh.
It was your guy, the Nip Tuck guy. Who's like the
Oh
Nip
yeah,
Tuck guy?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I
Uh,
didn't watch it though.
yeah. So I watched that show. I saw him on that show. I thought this guy is really, really good looking. He's like a big, tall guy or
Hmm.
whatever. I have watched his interviews since, and I've watched clips of the movies and stuff like that. The shorts thing is actually something that he talked about, and he's like, to me, they are intentionally goofy, and the reason why they're intentionally goofy is because Superman wants you to be Superman wants you to think of him as a goof because he is so powerful. If he was actually himself, he would scare the shit out of you. So he wants people to laugh at him. So that's why the shorts are so goofy. If that's the spirit that he's bringing into the Superman,
I'm
I fucking
excited for
love
it.
it.
I
I'm
know,
so
I love it.
yeah.
Because one of the things I loved about the original Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman, is that his Clark Kent was such a sweet, nerdy guy.
Oh,
And
so
I
good.
never got that sweet nerdiness from the Zack Snyder Superman. The Zack
He was
Snyder Superman, I was like, you're not Batman. You're not Bruce Wayne. Stop it. You know? Bruce Wayne is the
Clark Kent.
emo. No, I'm saying Bruce Wayne is the only emo Justice League character.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't have Clark Kent also be emo. Okay, Clark Kent is a sweet, nerdy guy. Okay, that was my favorite thing about him. He's like kind of had a stutter, also like the
Mhm.
Christopher Reeves version of Superman. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I am looking forward to the new Lois Lane. Also,
Yeah.
because I don't think that I liked Amy Adams as Lois Lane. It
Again,
didn't make sense.
same problem there. What are we going for here? Like his Clark Kent wasn't even. It was just a hot guy with glasses. It's just what am I supposed to relate with this guy with this fucking GQ model who wears? It's like Rachel Lee Cook and she's all that. It's like I can't. She wears glasses. She's hideous.
Swing, swing. No, I know. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to the new Superman. Speaking of movies, you went to go see the new F1 movie.
I did. I like how you're making a judgy face at me.
I am judging you. Now, did you like the movie?
I fucking loved the movie theater experience of watching
Okay.
F1.
Did it shake? Like, were you at the place where the seats shake?
I was not at a theater where the seats shook. The RPX, I did not have an RPX experience or a 4DX experience, which is the sound stuff. I had an AMC IMAX experience, which is basically just a giant screen, right?
Oh, okay.
Um, as I revealed in our cousins group, I took some matters into my own hands and I had something of a 4DX experience myself with the aid of certain um, herbal remedies.
Uh,
But yeah, I had so the movie itself is so dumb. It is so stupid. It is so basic and, color by numbers or whatever, but it is 100% worth it in the movie theater. That's what I'll say about it.
and how do you feel about supporting Brad Pitt?
Well, so it's actually a question about the movie and I guess Brad Pitt overall, right? So it's an Apple movie, number 1, right?
Okay.
It has so many sponsorships throughout the movie, right? Because it's like an official F1
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah.
So
Sure.
the entire thing has been fucking paid for, right? There is no soul. There's no actual soul of the movie, even though it's supposed to be like a sports movie or whatever. And
Hmm.
I've been watching like interviews and shit like that. And like you'll hear Brad Pitt say shit like, well, the characters are really the most important because if you don't care about, let me tell you something, nobody gives a shit about the characters. The only thing that I care about is like the racing scenes are incredible. I've never
Hmm.
seen anything like that, and the soundtrack is amazing. That's the only reason why I'm there, right? So you go, well, there's obviously a lot of bad people have invested into this movie. Like
Uh huh.
there's a lot of
Uh
corporate
huh.
money or whatever. But if as a result, I get to watch these race scenes, I'm kind of okay with it. Like I don't care. I don't care like if Apple is making a shitload of money. I don't care that there's no real cinema here. I just want the experience, right? It's the same thing, I guess, is how I look at Brad Pitt in this movie because Brad Pitt is obviously we've talked about him here in the past. I love Meet Joe Black. He was one of my favorite actors of all time. Like, just kind of I watch a Brad Pitt movie or whatever.
Yeah.
That shit has obviously changed in the last 3 or 4 years because, frankly, you have polluted my mind with the woke mind virus, right?
Excuse me. We love Angelina Jolie here. Okay. We're pro
Um,
Angie. Okay.
but I was actually thinking about that while watching the movie because the Brad Pitt that you get in the movie is just Brad Pitt. Like, there's
Well, he
no
plays the same
he's
person.
called his name is Sonny Hayes, right? Who's supposed to be like his this down on his luck ex race car driver or like ex like Formula One driver who just couldn't cut it. So now he just goes around racing here and there for $5,000. In some way, you're like supposed to like. This guy's supposed to be relatable. At the same time, he fucking looks like Brad Pitt, and he walks around like in like a t-shirt and jeans, and he's just a sexy guy, and he like half the movie his shirt is off or whatever. So she's like, "Oh,
Oh God.
you just want me to be into Brad Pitt, right?" That's all it is.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that while I was watching it, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like I know that by the rules of how we cancel people, right? So called
Yeah. Yeah.
cancel people, Brad Pitt should have been canceled. Like that is a thing that happened,
Yeah.
right? I was watching this clip of like these two women talking about a podcast, which was in the divorce Angelina Jolie seemingly got the kids, and
Yep.
Brad Pitt got Hollywood, which
Yep.
was he gets to remain being Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And
Like
I don't. It's okay.
yeah. No. No. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, and I think that's really what I was thinking about it also. I was like, okay, this is like a $300 million movie, and I'm being told that this is the guy that they want me to root for. I know who Brad Pitt is in real life. Should I be boycotting this movie because I don't want to support Brad Pitt? I don't support his actions or whatever, but I want to watch the race scenes, right? This is like it's like Top Gun Maverick. Like, what do you want from me? Like, it's like, do I support Tom Cruise, all of Tom Cruise's actions? No, but you put me in a cockpit, I'll shut the fuck up and I'll watch for 2 hours.
Well, I think here's the thing that I do find crazy is that like it's because okay, the thing with Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise every few years comes out of whatever cave he's hidden in, whatever test tube he's living inside of, right?
Uh
Whatever
huh.
ice he's been frozen inside of. He comes out, he makes a movie, we get a bunch of clips of him doing a bunch of his own stunts, and then he goes away, right?
Yeah.
Brad Pitt right now is doing like podcasts. Like he was
Hmm.
on, Armchair Expert, and like he's been doing red carpets this whole time. Like I was literally seeing articles about the FBI files of all the stuff that released about what he did on those flights, and that's just one flight to Angelina Jolie and her kids, right? What he did to them. That shit came out, and it was like one of many times that we found out like all these things were unearthed in their divorce proceedings, that he's a drunk and an abuser. And like,
Hmm.
I forget the fact that he's like 10 years older than Angelina Jolie. No, 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 no. I just want no. I'm not saying that as like a thing to talk about with like age and stuff, but she was 25, like
Hmm.
when they got together in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, right? Like I also think about that from like a perspective of like Angelina Jolie and like who she was before she like met him. Like, she was like super sexy and she was married to Billy Bob Thornton, and they
Hmm.
were drinking each other's blood and like, putting their hands down each other's pants on the red carpet. Like she was like a wild girl.
Hmm.
And then she breaks up the Hollywood it couple,
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt, right? Like the golden couple of Hollywood. She breaks them up. She's the other woman. She's what, 24, 25 years old. And then she ends up being with this man for an extended period of time. And she's the most beautiful woman in the world. He's the most beautiful man in the world. They're like a sexy hot couple. I just think that it's yes, it's still Angelina Jolie. She's still a bajillionaire, and it's not like I need to like feel bad for her like she's like some sort of like broken down woman. But at the end of the day, she's still a woman who was abused by her golden boy husband, right?
Hmm.
Who she had all these children with, to the point where like even their biological children have dropped the last name Pitt because they don't have anything to do with their children. They're with their
Yeah.
father, right? Like it's not great for Brad Pitt. And it's crazy to me that he is like on the red carpet all the time. Like no big deal. And I do think that to some degree there is, I don't know, I've not looked into it, but I do think that some of the backlash or some of the like the good what's the word I'm looking for? Like the grace that he gets is because
The good, yeah,
like
the good press, like the
yeah, like
okay, yeah,
all that stuff that he gets, the grace that he gets is because he's kind of just because he's handsome. And
that's the number
also
one thing.
that's the number one thing. And then I also think it's because at the end of the day, Angelina Jolie was the other woman. So she's
I
not going to get the same kind of sympathy that somebody else would, right? Because like, well, you were the other woman, so he slapped you around. And it's like it's still fucked up that shit happened to her, right? But I think that the way that the world views women is different. It's like, oh well, it's still sexy Brad Pitt, you know.
Mhm.
It's crazy. I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for
You're
it.
done. You're done.
If they make another Oceans movie, I'm not watching it.
Oh, first of all, they can't make another Ocean's movie without Bernie Mac. I would not. I would
Oh no,
boycott
we
that.
couldn't. We would
No, we
never.
couldn't. We would never do
That's
that.
crazy.
But yeah, I the podcast that like I watched the clip from that they mentioned that also. It is that Angelina Jolie she broke up the power couple. She was the other woman.
Yeah.
Women never truly were on her side
No.
100%. They
No.
just weren't, right?
Because
And that's
also it was
actually
Rachel from
yeah,
Friends. Like,
Rachel from Friends, and then it like the story became so much about the two of them. Like
yeah,
it's like Jen versus Angelina with
yeah.
like poor Brad stuck in the middle.
Um,
But just you talking about this is why. This is why women can't get anywhere because you say no. Anyways, it you talking about him being on the red carpet and like this stuff not coming up. It is actually really interesting because for like it felt like for like 15 years solid when he was part of like that Angelina Jolie like that Jolie Pitt couple or whatever. Every conversation with the two of them was about the children.
yeah,
Oh man, Brad Pitt as a dad, Brad Pitt working, he's just a dad. He's just a regular dad who loves architecture. He's just a normal dude. He's just like you and me, right? And like the dad stuff never comes up anymore. Like I
yeah.
watch clips of like the armchair expert thing, right? And it's just about like, oh, these are the things that I need to do to just kind of have confidence in myself. And you just have to keep trying. And
Get the fuck out of here.
life is hard, man. It's just I'm therapy is so important to me, and spirituality is so, and it's all about like self improvement and all those things, right? So there is definitely like an avenue now for him where he's like he's entering like the same space that I see with like Tom Brady, which is just like, hey, we're gonna be like a wellness type of expert thing, and I'm just gonna be the soulful, handsome white guy. So I will watch F2, by the way, or F1 2
And how about,
whenever that comes out.
and you know what? I'm going to say F you. Okay, one last thing. It's about the
Hmm.
WNBA. I do want to
Oh,
bring it up because it's something that came to my attention from listeners, and I do think it's important to bring it up to you. We talked about Sophie Cunningham a couple weeks ago.
I did, and I slut shamed her because I'm a terrible human being.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to
Hmm.
politics shame her. That bitch is a MAGA Barbie.
Is she? I
Yes.
knew it. Okay, so I am right in slut shaming her because here was my point. She made the move to the Fever because she knew of the media attention that Caitlin Clark
That's
garners, right?
right.
She
Mhm.
also knows the kind of attention that she garners by being a pretty bubbly blonde white lady playing a sport amongst African American women. She knows what kind of attention she garners. She knows what kind of attention her fits garner and all those things, right? I don't know how much of this stuff I'm allowed to criticize as a dude, but as a brown person, I feel like I'm allowed to criticize a bunch of shit, right? So I don't know. Go on.
I think that I'm allowed to criticize her because she sucks and
Mm-hmm.
that she's jumping on the situation. Like she sees like how much attention Caitlin Clark gets. She sees how much attention Angel Reese gets. So she tried to have a thing. And it's like, again, you're getting a lot of attention for like, nuck if you buckin at the middle of a game because you think that that's going to get you a lot of attention. And then you're going to be praised for it for being such a badass. But
Mm-hmm.
you're actually doing the thing that your people, the people that you support politically, actually look down on your teammates. Like the WNBA, it's not just that it's the fact that it's a fucking WNBA. It's a queer black supporting organization, right?
Yeah.
And here she is, Sophie Cunningham, against all of those things. Trying to get the spotlight? I don't think so, bitch. Not falling for it.
It's, if you ever have the chance, right? Like if anybody's people, like I know men know Sophie Cunningham now because she is as hot as she is and because she's Caitlin Clark's teammate, right?
Yeah.
So now she is a person who has notoriety, um beyond just her own sport, beyond, in like regular sports or whatever, right? And the question has always been like the current conversation is all about like, well, Caitlin Clark is the one that's drawing all the attention. All these women should just be fucking grateful for the
Yeah.
attention that Caitlin Clark is bringing to the NBA, to the WNBA, because it actually means that they're going to make more money. And yes, that is a true statement. People are going to make more money because of the attention Caitlin Clark is bringing to it, right? But in terms of like your value as an athlete and like what you bring to the world, right? Caitlin Clark's game is really, really exciting. I will give it that, right? At the same time, she's not the best player in the WNBA. That's still
Yeah.
probably Asia Wilson. Caitlin Clark is probably top five, but she does make for an exciting game, right? Um, but I think sorry, my point was there have been incredible athletes, incredible women that have been part of the WNBA for the last 20 years, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about Maya Moore all the time. We've talked about
Yeah.
it, whatever. But like the Atlanta Dream that were owned by fucking Kelly, what's her name? The senator from Georgia, the awful senator that lost in 2020.
Mhm.
Kelly L. I forget how to say her last name. If you look at the Atlanta Dream and what they did against their own owner, because
Yeah.
they were like, our owner is a racist piece of shit. We are not going to stand up for this stuff. Those are incredible people.
Kelly
Those are the
Loeffler.
Kelly Loeffler, right? If you look at that Atlanta Dream team and like what they did, standing up to their own owner, that is the shit that should be popular, right?
Yeah.
All of the stuff that happened with like George Floyd and I Can't Breathe, and
Yeah.
in the summer of 2020 when like the NBA went on a break and like there were games suspended because people didn't want to play under these circumstances because, again, black people were getting killed in the streets. The WNBA actually was on top of like that social justice, um, on top of those issues years before
Yeah.
the NBA ever got involved, right? So I don't know, man. Like it really comes down to how you want to see the world. Like if you think that the value of a female athlete is directly tied to how much you can jerk off to her, like if that's what you think is the thing, then sure, like go off, just watch the sports that you want to watch and just, go off on people like what's her face?
Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham. Like celebrate her because yes, you want to celebrate her for being hot, go for it. I'm not going to stop you, but if you actually want to see like actual valuable people, they've been around in this league for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's it for this week.
real pick me up.
Sorry. I'll be back later this week to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to do a separate episode covering some stuff from Bravo. And then, of course, very exciting Love Island, where...
Love Island's really picking up. I see lots of like Love Island stories and shit.
Well,
like that.
yeah. So somebody got kicked off of the show mid at the last week because there were some posts of hers unearthed where she was using anti-Asian slur that rhymes with Twinkie.
Oh boy. You know what? I don't want you to think that this little message from me in any way, I don't want you to think at all that I give a shit about Love Island at all. I'm just telling you that I've seen it a lot and like in general news and stuff like that.
Real people are watching this show like it's Severance, okay? People are slowing down, they're recording clips. They're slowing it down. They're isolating audio to try to figure out what somebody said. It's crazy. I'm like, guys, they're just Barbies. Okay. There's Barbies
what is
kissing.
worse? You watching this show or me going to watch F1 in the theater on edibles?
You know
what is?
You know what? That's fine. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. Okay.
Yeah, there were black people in F1 at least. Come on.
There's a lot of black people on Love Island. Don't be ridiculous. On the very second episode, somebody got kicked off and it just said, Yulisa is no longer in the villa. And it's why? Because Yulisa had said the N-word on a podcast. Real. There's a couple. There's an Arab girl on the show. Her name is Huda. And she's paired up with a guy named Chris. And they're calling their couple, the internet is calling their couple name Huda Chris. The show's stupid. Anyway, I gotta wrap this up because I gotta release this before tonight's episode. So I will be back later, and
I gotta go pick up dinner for our brother's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to our brother if he's listening. As much as we shit on him, I was gonna say I take it back, but I don't.
Last week we basically gave away my middle name. This week we're giving away our brother's date of birth. If identity theft was a thing, we're making it so easy for you.
I